PYPA pour moi c'est comme un tilt, il y a un déclic qui s'est produit en moi.
PYPA m'a permis de m'élever plus et à croire en mon engagement politique.
Le coup m'a permis aujourd'hui d'être moi-même.
Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you here watching this film with us today. We're really happy. It's the first time we're going to show this short film about PYPA West Africa. So, just before getting to that, a few more things. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Malena Liedholm Ndounou. I'm the Senior Program Manager at the Swedish Centre Party International Foundation, SIS. And I'm very, very happy to have with me here today 4 guests that I will just tell you who they are. So first of all, just in a minute, we will listen to Annika Rieger, who is the coordinator of the whole PYPA program and also the Deputy Secretary General of KIC, which is the Christian Democratic International Center. And she's actually sitting here with me in the studio, so you will soon see her. Secondly, we will listen to Dr. Abdoul Karim Saidou, who is the coordinator of PYPA in West Africa. And he is also the executive director of IGD, who is the local partner of SIS in West Africa. Then we'll actually look at the 8-minute film. And after that, we have 2 more guests. First of all, we will have Marianne van Malmborg, who is a specialist in human rights and democracy at SIDA, the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. And she's also here with me in the studio. And finally, the 4th and final speaker is Susanne Aldén, who is head of cooperation at the Swedish Embassy in Burkina Faso. And both she and Abdoul Karim are with us by link if everything goes well. So we're looking forward to that. Et quand même aussi, bienvenue du fond du cœur à nos alumni PYPA. Je sais que vous êtes nombreux à être là à suivre. Alors aujourd'hui, ça va être en anglais, mais je pense à vous, on pense à vous, et bienvenue, on est content que vous soyez là. So, one final thing. Questions and comments, you're welcome to write them in the chat all along or in the comments field on Facebook. And Siri here will be writing them down and sending them on to me. And we will try to answer as many questions that we have time for at the very end. We'll have at least 20-25 minutes for that. So looking forward to hearing your comments and your questions. Now, without further ado, I will give the word over to our first guest. So please, Annika Rieger, over to you.
Thank you very much, Malena. I'm very happy to be here. First, I would like to apologize for speaking English. I don't know French, unfortunately. Like Malena said, I'm the general coordinator of the PYPA program. So I'm just going to give you some background information on the program. It's a capacity strengthening program directed towards youth in 16 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. 7 of them are situated in West Africa, 4 of them in Southern Africa, 2 of them in Southeastern Africa, and 3 in East Africa, where I personally work. The aim of the program is to increase the participation and influence of youth active in political parties and also increase their work for democracy, human rights, and gender equality. We do that mainly by training youth, but also through what we call mother party activities, where we engage with the political parties of the participants, and also through alumni activities where we sustain the contact with former participants. The program started in 2012 and is based on a previous program that KIC had in East Africa. Since 2012, we implemented together with our Swedish partners and their local partners. The Swedish partners are the Centre Party International Foundation that is hosting this event today, the Olof Palme International Center, and the Green Forum. Since 2012, PYPA has trained more than 1,000 youth across Africa, and it would have been more if it hadn't been for the pandemic that slowed us down in 2020. Before we continue with the program, I would just like to mention two of several important cornerstones of the program, and that's the multi-party approach and the regional approach. They mean that we bring together youth from different political parties, from government parties and opposition parties, and also from different nationalities in the regional trainings that we have. And we do that for two reasons mainly. One is to learn from different experiences and learn from each other, obviously. But the other is also to build political tolerance. And we're very proud of our contribution to political tolerance in in all of the countries where we are active. We also lead by example, since we are the Swedish partners representing 4 different ideologies. And we have also worked through several Swedish elections that have actually seen a change in government, but we still cooperate and we do it very well, actually. So that's also one of the things we are very proud of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annika. That's a great introduction to what PYPA is all about. And now I would like to hand the word over to Dr. Abdoul Karim Saidou. I hope he's with us. He's sitting in Ouagadougou, so let's check if he's here. Karim, over to you.
Thank you, Malena. Bonjour à tout le monde. I'm very happy to attend this
We hear each other.
very important event. My name is
We'll
Abdoul
see.
Karim Saidou.
Don't think we hear him yet. So I'll just say that Karim, as I said before, he is the executive director of IGD, which is Institut pour la Gouvernance et le Développement, that is the local partner of CIS in West Africa, and has been so for over 10 years. And we could not do PYPA. There's no way we could do PYPA without IGD. It's thanks to IGD that CIS is able to do PYPA in West Africa. So Karim will tell us a bit about IGD and a bit about PYPA in West Africa. So I'll check one more time. Are you here now, Karim? Do you hear us? Can you be with us?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Malena, can you hear me? Okay.
In that case,
Malena.
we'll
I said before. Can you hear me, please?
Okay. So shall I just be quiet and see if people can hear Karim then?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Est-ce que vous entendez ici? Can you hear me? Oh.
Okay, so then apparently, so let's see again if we can hear Karim this time and if you can see him.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me now? I hope you can hear me. Bonjour. Good morning. It seems it is not. Malena, can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, so can I continue?
Okay. All right. We'll see in a minute then.
Malena.
In that case, I suggest that we already now listen to our second guest in the studio, if that's all right with you, Marianne. Are you ready for that? Thank you. So, in that case, I give over to Marianne von Malmborg, who, as I said, is Human Rights and Democracy Specialist at SIDA. the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency that funds PYPA, and that has been funding PYPA since the very start in 2012. So over to you, Marianne.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for inviting us for this film. Nowadays this is the closest we get to a field visit, so it's extremely valuable for us to see this. But I will start by saying that democracy is one of the main priorities of SIDA's development cooperation. And out of the total contribution that we have regionally, bilaterally, globally, it's 27% that is geared towards a variety of contributions for democratic institution building or democratic systems or good governance and so on. And with that said, Sweden and Swedish, the partners that SIDA and Sweden are working with have an added value in this area. But with the shrinking trend today, the Swedish government not long ago launched this so-called drive for democracy. And this is to strengthen what we do even further. And there were many good things that we noted with the drive for democracy, but one of them was that political parties are acknowledged as having a very important role in the democratic work that we do, as arenas for people to mobilize, to get voice and so on. But that, of course, given that the parties themselves are democratic and inclusive. And that is where PYPA comes in. And why do we think that PYPA is important for us? As SIDA, we work according to the multi-dimensional poverty perspective. So this means that what we can what we see in the film is that participants are, I have already seen the film, that participants are given a voice and are empowered and so on. And so listening to the narratives from PYPA, it's very clear that the participants are getting prepared to become future leaders, are getting prepared to being knowledgeable and engaged and responsible citizens that can hold their leaders accountable and so on. And I think a beauty with this program is also, I don't know if I can call it the practical part of the capacity building, but that it's very much linked also to the participants being part of the solutions already in their societies, be it climate change or community development and so on. And this makes it very clearly linked to the goals in the Sustainable Development Agenda 2030. So for us, there are many important things with PYPA that it contributes to democracy and sustainable development goals and equality. And and there are other good things to say about PYPA, but I will leave the word to the next person. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Thank you for being able to speak a bit sooner than you were expected to. So what we'll do now, as planned, I will talk a little bit about how the that's a big word, how the film was actually made and why, since I was very much involved in the making of it. And as soon as I've done that, we will actually watch the film. And then we hope that we can listen to Karim and Suzanne after the film. So why did we do this film? Well, let me start by saying that I started working at SIS in 2012, the exact same year that PYPA started. So I've been very, very lucky to have been involved with PYPA from the very start. And all of us who work with PYPA, we do feel lucky because it's an extremely rewarding program to work with and to be part of. Personally, I'm also lucky that I'm an implementer, which means that I'm one of the facilitators in PYPA. Don't only follow it from a distance. So PYPA is a big part of my life since 2012, almost 10 years. And I've been thinking, and we've been talking about for a long time, it would be great to make a film about PYPA, to show what's so good about it, what's so special about it, and to be able to share that with others. But we didn't have the money, we didn't have the time, and then the opportunity came up last year that a professional documentary filmmaker named Göran Gester actually offered to do this pro bono. And then the things just rolled on, and we were able to do it. So that's the background. And so to tell you a bit when and how it was made, we actually did it during one of the PYPA trainings. So it happened in January 2020. That's when we did the filming. So as you realize, we were very lucky. It happened in a pre-pandemic time when no one had hardly heard about this. So we were lucky to be able to actually shoot the film back then in January 2020 in Lomé, Togo, because we had a PYPA training there. And we decided from the start that we were not going to select very specific participants or alumni, as we call those who have gone through the training, that we were not going to try to seek out those that had a lot to tell or maybe had got a lot of influence since PYPA through positions, but rather take those that happened to be there, that happened to be in Lomé, Togo in January 2020. So it was a selection of the participants of that year group, and a balance between parties and countries, because there were 3 countries present at that time: people from Togo, people from Burkina Faso, and people from Ivory Coast. And I have a balance between men and women and people who wanted to be on film. So basically, we interviewed like half of those that are interviewed in the film. They are those that participated in PYPA that year. And bear that in mind when you listen to them, that they have only been part of the PYPA program and the PYPA spirit for less than a year. And they already say a certain number of things that PYPA has changed for them. Now, the other half of those that also are interviewed in the film, they are PYPA alumni. So quite a few from Togo, since that's where we were. And the others happen to be PYPA alumni that we had invited to Togo to speak for the current year group, as we often do. So that's a mix of people that get to talk in the film. There are 12, if I remember correctly, that actually talk in the film. Just maybe then realize that some of them, as I said, have been in PYPA for less than a year. And there's one person who had done PYPA in 2012. So she talks from the perspective of 9 years after the training. And the last thing I want to tell you, which I believe is very important, is that during the interviews, we did not tell them what to talk about. I was interviewer, so I was the one who to ask them to talk about PYPA. And you will see now, in a few seconds, you will see the film, you will see that we have structured it according to a few themes. But we did not mention those themes to them. All I said was, please, can you tell us if PYPA has changed anything in the way you look at things? Having to do with politics, of course. So is there something that you looked at in a certain way before and that you look at in a different way now? And is there something that you did differently before and that you do differently now? So that is something that you can keep in mind as you watch the film, that it's really them speaking freely on any topic that they wanted to bring up. So I think that's it. So enjoy the film. Profitez-en. Il y aura un petit peu en français maintenant. Donc, let's look at it et voyons le film. Merci.
PYPA pour moi, c'est comme un tilt. Il y a un déclic qui s'est produit en moi.
PYPA m'a permis de m'élever plus, à m'engager plus et à croire en mon engagement politique.
Le coup m'a permis aujourd'hui d'être
working to
Le coup m'a permis aujourd'hui d'être moi-même.
PYPA pour moi, c'est comme un tilt. Il y a un déclic qui s'est produit en moi.
PYPA m'a permis de m'élever plus, à m'engager plus et à croire en mon engagement politique.
Le coup m'a permis aujourd'hui d'être moi-même.
CIS, the Swedish Centre Party International Foundation, is a political foundation working to promote democracy and human rights. Together with local partners in countries across the world, CIS provides capacity building for people active in politics, mainly women and youth. Most of CIS's work is financed by SIDA, the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. One example is PYPA, Program for Young Politicians in Africa. PYPA is a leadership program for young members of political parties in 16 countries in Africa. CIS is responsible for implementing PYPA in 7 countries in French-speaking West Africa, together with its local partner IGD, based in Burkina Faso. Young people are underrepresented in politics, young women in particular. PYPA works to change that. It creates young leaders passionate about democracy, human rights, and gender equality.
PYPA m'a permis de comprendre qu'en politique, c'est beaucoup plus le travail du terrain qui paye. Le fait d'être proche des populations, de comprendre leurs aspirations et de chercher à amener des solutions aux problèmes que vivent ces populations.
J'ai compris que la politique, c'est avant tout la recherche de l'intérêt commun. C'est un travail permanent pour la résorption des maux dont nous souffrons dans la société.
Certains jeunes se voyaient comme des ennemis, puisque les uns sont au pouvoir, les autres sont dans l'opposition. Ils ne pouvaient pas travailler ensemble. On voit actuellement des jeunes qui se retrouvent à travailler ensemble vraiment pour un intérêt national. Et ça, c'est grâce à PYPA.
Mais aujourd'hui, j'ai compris qu'il va falloir composer avec ceux qui sont de l'opposition, avec ceux qui sont de la majorité, pour qu'on essaie d'harmoniser nos points de vue, parce qu'au finish, j'ai compris que nous avons le même objectif.
Grâce à PYPA, j'ai compris qu'en réalité, quand on parle de démocratie, il y a des implications. L'alternance, la tête de l'État, le respect des droits humains et, troisièmement, le fait de s'occuper des préoccupations des populations.
Il y a un point clé du développement humain, la redevabilité. Quand on vous confie une tâche, vous devez bien faire la tâche et rendre compte à ces personnes qui vous ont fait confiance.
La démocratie, on l'entendait à notre manière. Mais on a compris que la démocratie révèle beaucoup de choses. La bonne gouvernance, la justice sociale et comment aider ceux qui sont les plus démunis. Et quand tous ces aspects-là sont réunis, il n'y a pas de raison qu'on ne parte pas vers le développement.
PYPA m'a donné plus de courage de croire à ma conviction et de croire vraiment à mon ambition. C'est un programme qui donne le courage aux jeunes. Il nous apprend à nous imposer au sein de nos partis politiques, à imposer là-bas aussi la démocratie.
Je n'ai pas réussi à m'ouvrir les yeux sur le fait qu'être un leader, ce n'est pas être au-dessus de tout le monde, mais c'est arriver à mettre ensemble les aspirations de tout le monde et à les traduire pour le bien de chacun. C'est ça, un vrai leader.
Quand je voyais un ministre ou un député, un directeur, c'était difficile pour moi d'échanger avec lui. Mais grâce à PYPA, j'ai compris que non, nous sommes tous des êtres humains. Même si la personne a un statut élevé, cela ne m'empêche pas de pouvoir échanger ni de collaborer avec lui.
Mesdames et messieurs,
le leader, ce n'est pas celui qui dit que je peux tout faire seul. Le leader, c'est celui qui fait participer les autres à la prise de décision.
Ce cours m'a permis de surmonter mes faiblesses et aujourd'hui, me voici devant le micro, ce que je ne pouvais pas faire auparavant.
Avant, je ne comprenais pas les enjeux liés à la question du genre. Je ne comprenais pas l'obligation faite pour nous d'impliquer l'un et l'autre sexe. Aujourd'hui, je sais que sans la femme, on ne peut pas atteindre les objectifs que nous escomptons atteindre. Ce n'est pas possible. Depuis de longues années, il y a une partie de l'humanité qui était marginalisée. Nous en avons pris conscience. Il faut prendre des mesures pour mettre fin à cela.
PYPA m'a amené à comprendre que ce n'est pas parce que je suis une femme que je ne peux pas occuper des postes de responsabilité et changer les choses dans mon pays. On peut être une femme politicienne, mais avoir aussi une vie de famille.
Nous avons constaté que quand on met la femme au défi, quand on donne les responsabilités que certains jeunes hommes juraient, les femmes le font absolument bien. On le savait certes avant, mais il fallait avoir un déclic. Et c'est PYPA qui a été l'élément catalyseur pour qu'aujourd'hui on ait confiance à la femme à 100%.
J'avais certaines restrictions. La politique, c'est fait pour les hommes, parce que les femmes ne doivent pas aller en politique. Une femme, c'est fait pour rester à la maison. J'étais pas trop pour l'égalité des sexes et tout ça. Mais après cette formation, j'ai dit, mais attends, les hommes et les femmes ont les mêmes capacités.
Avant, quand on me parlait de changement climatique, pour moi, bon, c'était une préoccupation occidentale. Ce que nous prenons comme engagement vis-à-vis du climat, nous devons les respecter. Sinon, nous risquons un jour de disparaître.
Grâce à PYPA, j'ai eu le déclic au niveau du développement durable, où on a acquis une ferme où on fait le reboisement et l'agriculture, donc l'agroforesterie. On a aussi sensibilisé la population à beaucoup plus tendre vers cette approche-là. Le fait de réaliser que en fait, nous sommes en train de détruire la planète et qu'on va tous mourir, je me suis dit, bon, ben, on peut commencer comme ça.
À PYPA, nous avons appris à la gestion autrement du pouvoir pour respecter l'environnement, pour respecter les deniers publics et pour permettre que toutes les communautés soient à l'aise. Le jour où nous aurons les alumni PYPA, chefs d'État, nous aurons l'assurance de ce que le pouvoir sera géré avec l'éthique.
La porte est là et je pense que PYPA est la clé tout simplement.
So, we hope that you enjoyed this first ever little film on PYPA West Africa. There's a lot of material left to be used. We have hours worth of filming, so who knows, there might be other films in the future. We'll see. So, what I wanted to remind you is please question and comments and question. We have 4 interesting guests here today, so don't hesitate to write questions to them in the chat. Yes, that was the only reminder. And now just say, we're very sorry. There was some kind of technical problem here in the studio. So now we did not hear Karim, but that's okay. We'll listen to Karim now. So please, Karim, this time again, I hand over the word to you and I will be quiet and we will listen to you now. Please, over to you, Karim.
Okay, I'm very happy to attend this important event. My name is Abdoul Karim Saidou. I'm the Executive Director of IGD, Institute of Governance and Development. We are a civil society organization based in Ouagadougou, in Burkina Faso. And we are mainly working to consolidate, to reinforce youth participation and influence in politics, especially in the field of human rights, good governance, gender equality, and so on and so forth. And as Malena said, since 2012, we are the local partners of the Swedish Foundation, the CIS, for the implementation of the program in Francophone West Africa. And we're working in seven countries, especially Burkina Faso, Senegal, Niger, Benin, and Cote d'Ivoire. And we have trained around 400 young politicians in the region since 2012. And I should mention that PYPA is very, very important for us in Francophone West Africa because we have a lot of young politicians, young people, male and female, who are working in political parties, and they are facing a lot of challenges in order to influence politics, to influence the management of political affairs in their countries. They are very committed. They have a lot of energy, but they need more skills, more knowledge, and more self-confidence in order to play their role in the development of society and in the consolidation of democracy. That's why in Burkina Faso, in West Africa in general, IGD is very, very grateful. And this is also the point of view of all the participants, of alumni of PYPA, all young people who participated to the program. They are very grateful to the Swedish taxpayers, and especially to the Swedish Centerparty International Foundation and all the Swedish partners with the program for making PYPA possible in West Africa. So this is what I would like to say at this moment. Maybe if there are some comment and questions, I can give more details about our experience in implementing PYPA, especially in Francophone West Africa. So thank you, Malena, and thank you all for your kind attention.
Okay, well, actually, I would like to hear more from you, Abdoul Karim, but let's do that in just 3 minutes or so, and let's listen to Susanne before, and then I will get back to you. So let me now introduce Susanne Aldén, Head of Cooperation at the Swedish Embassy in Burkina Faso. Over to you, Susanne.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me in this very special event and this discussion on youth and their role in politics in Africa, and in particular West Africa. So I am the head of cooperation at the Swedish Embassy in Burkina Faso, which means that I am responsible for the implementation of the Swedish Development Cooperation Strategy that we have with Burkina Faso, and it runs from 2018 to 2022. And in that strategy, we have a particular focus. We have 2 focus areas, but one of them is on human rights, democracy, rule of law, and gender equality. And as Marianne also mentioned, democracy and supporting democratic processes in different ways is, of course, a cornerstone of Swedish development cooperation support in several countries, or worldwide, I would say. And I mean, I am so grateful to be able to speak after having listened to the stories in the documentary, because it is really encouraging to listen to leaders of the future And of course, it is very exciting for me to be working here in Burkina Faso, which is also one of the first countries where PYPA in West Africa started its implementation. I mean, so Sweden as a whole, we have been supporting the democratic transition in Burkina Faso in several different ways. For example, by supporting the organization of free and peaceful elections in 2015 and 2020, by providing support to a number of civil society organizations, mainly then in areas of democracy, human rights, and good governance, and also by supporting the capacity strengthening of the National Assembly in Burkina Faso. And we also we also work with strengthening the accountability mechanisms and the National Anti-Corruption Agency, just to give some examples of how the support that we do complements well what is being supported through the PYPA program. So in general for Sweden as a whole, but of course also here in Burkina Faso, strengthening women and girls' opportunities to fully participate in democratic processes is one of the core elements of Swedish engagement in Burkina Faso and elsewhere. And this is, of course, given the current security situation in this region where we are operating now, it becomes even more important because we know that women and girls have limited opportunities. And this is, of course, linked to strong societal norms, and programs such as PYPA can help. As we hear in these testimonies as well, we hear how the program can help raise the issue of gender equality and actually find tools how to improve gender equality. In general, we see it as very important to continue to support the strengthening of democracy in Burkina Faso, not only, but definitely also in view of the current security situation. By some, it's seen as a governance crisis, but of course, we don't only support it because of that. Burkina Faso is a rather young democracy, and through the different supports that we provide together with our partners and Team Sweden as a whole, we believe that it is important to keep supporting different components of democracy and rule of law, and that includes for us, of course, gender equality. And I think that what we see is working with political parties is very important to ensure more democratic participation, which will help and strengthen, in general, the implementation of democratic processes throughout the country. We definitely see, importance of the PYPA program, and we are glad that it's being, that we can hear these testimonies from the people, from the participants, from the alumni, showing that there is a real impact of this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susanne. Merci, Suzanne. Merci, Ouagadougou. Cette fois-ci, ça a marché. On a eu Karim et Suzanne depuis Ouagadougou. J'en suis très contente. So, let me hand over to Karim again. I would like you to tell us just a little bit about, maybe tell us maybe a little bit about some PYPA alumni and what they have become today, since that's not something we touched upon in the film. We chose not to focus on that. But maybe you would like to tell us something about what has happened to some of the people in West Africa who have gone through the PYPA program.
Yeah, of course. We are very, very proud of our PYPA alumni, because since 2012, as I said, we have trained around 400 young politicians in the region. And a lot of PYPA alumni are working to defend and to promote human rights, democracy, and good governance. And alumni are working both as individuals and also as a group, because they are organized in national networks. They have also regional networks. They are working together, they are interacting on social media, and they are doing a lot of things to defend democracy and to promote good governance, gender equality, and all the values promoted by PYPA. For instance, we have, I can give some examples. For instance, in Senegal, we have some years ago 3 alumni who have been elected MP, members of parliament, and they are doing a lot of things in the Senegalese National Assembly to defend the rights of the women, the rights of the youth in general. This was especially Bounama Sall, Yaya Diallo, and Toussaint Manga from different political parties. We have other individuals like Eric Zongo, alumni from Burkina Faso, who has been recently appointed as a special advisor to the Minister of National Reconciliation, which is a new ministry, and he's working a lot to provide assistance to this ministry, because the reconciliation is a key issue in Burkina Faso. We have also Ms. Cynthia Lassisi in Benin, who is a special advisor to the Minister of Security, and she's working to assist the minister in the implementation of public policy for internal security. We are also very, very proud about what she is doing. We have in Mali, you know that in Mali is experiencing a transition regime. So a transitional parliament has been put in place, and we have one PYPA alumni. She was from the first PYPA year group in 2012, especially Ms. Abibatu Traoré. She's member of the transitional parliament, and she is also very, very active, very, very dynamic in putting on the agenda the problems and the rights of the young people on the agenda of the political reforms in Mali. And PYPA alumni is working, as I said, also as a network. Networks, we have national networks in each country, each of the 7 countries. For instance, in Niger, in Senegal, and in Côte d'Ivoire. And last year, for instance, the alumni from Côte d'Ivoire have contributed to the prevention and the management of political conflict, especially the violence among the young politicians in this country after the post-electoral crisis that the country faced. So we are very, very proud about the behavior and the activities of our alumni who are working both as individuals, but also as regional, national networks. So we hope that all the partners will continue supporting this program, because this can be a very, very important step in consolidating what we have done. So thank you. This is some of the instances I would like to give.
Okay, thank you so much, Karim.
How our alumni are behaving.
Thank you, Karim. And I know, just as well as you know, that we could keep talking about this all afternoon and give examples of the amazing things that are happening after PYPA. And I know that if I give the opportunity to Annika, who sits here next to me, to talk about everything that's happening with the alumni in East Africa, I will hear just as amazing examples. But since today we're sticking to West Africa, I'm going to ask a different question to Annika. I would like to since KIC that Annika represents is actually the organization that started PYPA, that gave birth to PYPA, that defined what PYPA was to be, and it was actually based on something that KIC had been working on, something quite similar for several years. So I would like to ask Annika, what is it that makes PYPA different? Because there's so many capacity building programs, and what makes it special? In a few words, what's special about PYPA?
I think I need to turn back to what I mentioned in the start, that it's the regional approach where youth come together from various countries, which is, I think, quite not so common. And also the multi-party approach, which is quite common, but I think that's a very important part of the program, where we actually can see political tolerance being built in the classroom, and obviously outside the classroom as well. People make lifetime friends. We even have what we call PYPA baby. We have married couples that met through PYPA, and now they're starting their own family. So I think it's life-changing on so many levels. But if I were to add something more, I would say it's the continued sustained contact that we have with the participants, because I think it's naive to think that merely going through a training will change everything drastically, even such a good training as PYPA. So I think that's one very important aspect, that we have sustained contact and try to support them as much as possible, the youth active in politics, because it's a tough environment. And also we try to engage with the mother parties, but we have almost 60 parties that sends participants to PYPA, so there are many parties to keep engaging with, but we do what we can in that respect as well, and I think that's also one of the important differences maybe.
Thank you. And I think that's really important to think of these things, and I hope that what works in PYPA can inform other programs in the future that will be even better. Because of course, I mean, it's great what we're doing, but we're trying to tweak it and make it better year by year, and we hope that others can get inspired by this and do something similar and even better. I would just like also to ask Marianne, well, maybe if you have some comments on the film, because you were supposed to speak afterwards, so you're free to do that. but also, I mean, we know that it's notoriously difficult to measure the impact of democracy support. It's not as if, we health, for instance, you can measure the number of hospital beds, you can measure the number of people who have been cured, but how do we really measure democracy support? So I wanted to ask you, after having seen this film, do you think this could be a valid way of measuring results and impact? Could this be a way of doing it?
Yes, absolutely. And that was also one of my main comments when I heard Karim also, that it's he gave us a few numbers of examples, and I think this is a very good way of getting the qualitative results, that you really try to see in a long run what did it mean for participants, and follow that, and also of course see if there were also outcomes from the capacity building, also how was the party strengthened and what came out of that. But it's always tricky to measure on a national level. But I like this, that there is an ambition to do this. And I must also agree with what has been raised with the importance that was raised by you, Annika, and that it is that it is a regional approach, and that this it spans over different ideologies, and from my view, when we have been working with the strategy for party affiliated organizations for some time, and we have had, as some of you know, a few years ago there were more an obligation for party affiliated organizations and their partners in turn to cooperate. But this program was there before, so this has evolved from the ground and not from some donor-driven or politically driven agenda. So I think this is something that is special with PYPA also, and and as had been said also, that makes it also an inspiration for other regions and exchange and synergies and so on. And I also think it's also the sibling to PYPA, EWIP, is also something that came from what I understood the participants themselves in PYPA. That it was actually also not something that came from donors, but from,
Maybe we should just say then that EWIP is empowering women in politics, and
of course.
Which is a program that is similar to PYPA in the sense that it empowers a group which is underrepresented in politics, because that's the whole idea with PYPA, that young people are not, they're too absent from politics. That it's difficult for them to find their place, and for women, for young women, we noted that that's even more the case. So EWIP really tries to empower women in politics in general, and particularly young women. I would like to send a question to give the word back to Suzanne, if she is still with us here. And I wonder if you would like to add maybe some more comments, because you were touching upon that, about what you felt when you heard the testimonies in the film, and what they made you think about how that could make people, what the people said in the film, what that kind of outlook, how that could change the approach to democracy and how that could help democratic development. What kind of impact do you think it could potentially have in a country like Burkina Faso with that kind of outlook on politics and on other related issues?
Thank you for that massive question. I mean, I think that change always starts with individuals, right? So I think that, this was it. What this program achieves or manages to achieve is to plant that seed of thinking about democracy in a different way, thinking about participation and representation in a different way, and the role that youth can have in the democratic development of their countries. And I think that that's what's needed in order for it to be sustainable, for that change to be sustainable. Because like I said, I mean, I see these as the leaders of the future. And I think someone said in the film as well, they said that once we have a PYPA alumni as head of state, we will definitely see a difference in how politics are being done and how the country is being run. And I think that there's much to that actually. And so I mean, now the question rather maybe becomes how to scale this up, how to manage to have these youth and these alumni teach others, train others, encourage others to think the way they think, and this is of course not something that will happen overnight. And what we see in Burkina Faso, of course, is you have a very political active population. You also have a very young population. So I think this is what makes this program successful here. And I cannot speak for other countries in the region, but I imagine that it's similar. So I think that, and with, of course, in this program, PYPA, you have a lot of political parties who have been or who are present and who are represented. And I think that now what we, needs to happen, of course, or even, I know this is ongoing, but needs to be strengthened, is probably that support given to the alumni and to the participants so that they can encourage others to follow them, to make sure that we have more PYPA alumni, so that we have more people resonating the way that these PYPA alumni are resonating. Because, and also what you said, Malena, in the beginning, is that some of these voices in the film, they have not been part of PYPA for very long, but it shows that they are, they're resonating with this line of thinking. So it's something that it's their stories, it's their future, it's their development, and I think it's important for us to support, as donors, as partners, to support those processes. Not only through PYPA, but through other programs and activities accompanying those positive developments. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Suzanne. We have got a question here from one of CIS other very important and long-term partners, which is BDF, Boris Divkovic Foundation, which is a foundation based in Sarajevo, Bosnia-Herzegovina. So we have a question here from Anela Lemes, the executive director. So I say hi to Anela. And she would like us to talk a little bit more about this multi-party aspect, how that actually works. How fluid, I guess you think, Anela, how easy is it to get them working between the parties? And if that keeps on after the training, and what impact that has, and does it have any practical consequences further on? So I would like to pass that question on to Annika, because I know that, of course, Annika has lots of experience about this in East Africa, and as a coordinator, you see how this happens in all of the countries. So what do you say about this?
Yeah, there's a lot to say about this. We do work quite a lot of creating relationships across the political parties, or for participants from different political parties. So we invest in social activities, and also now because of COVID you can't. But for instance, it used to be mandatory to share rooms across political parties, so that you really get to know people. And I was also amazed when I started working with the program in 2015 that because in the program we asked the participants to question power structures and question procedures or processes within their political parties. So I was actually amazed that they were able to do that with the people from other political parties present. And you need to it's a thin line, so you need to be very careful, because you don't want to come across as not being loyal to your own party. But I think it's very useful for the participants to be able to discuss these procedures or processes or power structures within their political parties, because then they realize that it looks quite similar in the other political parties. And also you can see participants coming together after there's been, for instance, election violence in countries, and then when they come to PYPA, they manage to put these things aside. And I'm told now it's only 1 minute left, but Anila, it does have consequences or impact, because we know they cooperate after the training, and it can be in politics, or in West Africa, for instance, the networks that Abdoul Karim talked about, but it can also be in enterprises, like commercial enterprises.
Thank you. I thought maybe I would just also sum up my own experience of PYPA and just say again what I said at the beginning, that it's an amazing experience to be part of. And just the gratitude that we all who are involved in PYPA get from the participants. And we always respond back, well, we are so grateful to be able to be part of this. It creates strong feelings, it creates strong engagements, as you heard in the film. And personally, what I always have found the most amazing thing in PYPA is that when it starts, we have like over 40 people sitting in the classroom, and some speak loud and some never speak. And generally, it's the young women that don't speak a lot. And seeing the transformation of those young women, for me, that's one of the absolutely strongest aspects of PYPA. That see that after a few days, after a few weeks of training, suddenly they stand up with a microphone in their hands and they say, I believe in this. This is what I know. This is what I believe, and this is what I think. And so again, I really think that PYPA gives a voice, as many of you have said. It gives a voice to young people. It gives a voice to young women. And I really do believe that it is contributing to changing sub-Saharan Africa to even more democratic, even more sustainable, even more a future with even more accountability, where things work even more smoothly and even better. And as one of the last words, I would really like to thank Göran Gester, without whom this would not have been possible, that he offered to use his time and equipment and experience to make this film possible. And I think it was fun for everyone involved. I saw that those that were part of it in Lomé, Togo, in January 2020, they really enjoyed it. So I think it's great that we could do this, and maybe now other regions will do something similar, and maybe we'll do something longer in the end. Who knows? I don't think there is the time to go around to each guest and let them give a final word, unfortunately. But maybe we can let them in and just say goodbye at least, if the technology allows that. And if we have Karim and Suzanne, if they can say goodbye as well. So thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. And thank you so much. I mean, thank you so much to the 4 guests here. Thank you very much to Siri, who has been assisting me. And thank you very much to Lucas, who made this technically possible. So really, and thanks for all of you who have been listening. Merci encore. Vraiment, c'était un plaisir. C'est à refaire. Et vraiment, merci d'être venus nombreux. And I will see you soon. Thanks.